My wife and I, for our first child, who's sung on this podcast now 3 times, she couldn't pump our daughter out, and we watched season 1 of 24 on DVD in like 2 days. And
really?
Jack Bauer, the excitement of Jack Bauer, made the baby want to come out.
Apparently. How do we not have a Jack Bauer Simmons?
Well, she was a female. Yeah, we would have to call her Jacqueline.
Yeah, Jacqueline. Yeah,
that would have been weird.
That could. Let me just say, I don't want to get too mushy, about fatherhood or anything, but really, there's no more beautiful sight than that of a bloody baby human head trying to escape the very vagina you promised God you'd stay loyal to for the next 40 years. I mean, really, it's breathtaking. It really is.
Yeah, it is. It is an eye-opening experience if you haven't been through it.
Yes, sir.
There's a lot more colors than maybe you expected going in.
They can't warn you enough about that stuff.
Yeah, I would advise all prospective dads out there to stay near from kind of the neck up where your wife is. Just stay on that side of the bed.
Try to lock eyes. Exactly.
Yeah, just don't go beyond the curtain.
Right.
Basically, stay on the right side of the curtain.
Right. We're here with the great eighth wonder of the world, Andrew the Giant Luck. Andrew, you've recently been compared to legendary baseball star Derek Jeter. How do you feel about that?
Well, Derek Jeter was a great player, and there's no question that's a huge compliment. But you know what? I'm just trying to win football games. So I'm just trying to make a play and make something happen, and that's what happened right there.
Against a lot of average or good teams in today's game, you could get away with playing Steven Jackson, Matt Barnes, Dudley at the 4.
Hold on, Steven Jackson.
You think this is the last day of his contract? They're not going to bring him back?
I actually know. I have some inside info on it.
Okay.
They couldn't afford to feed him anymore. When you're eating 19 meals a day, it just gets tough. Like the other guys didn't get to eat. He is the fattest veteran I've ever seen. Everyone in our section was talking about he had a full-fledged pot belly.
Really?
So you're a professional athlete. There's playing yourself into shape, and then there's it's too late. I can't.
All right, so now I got to defend my boy.
Of course, I knew you would. That's why we do our thing.
My boy.
That's why we give the people what we want.
League team guy.
That's why we give the people what they want.
When they signed him,
they knew he was 270 pounds.
He did a physical. He showed up and worked out, did whatever they asked him to do.
Right.
He was still recording his records, doing shows,
cooking,
and all of that. So when they signed him, they probably felt like we're going to help him work to get himself into shape. They did with Lamar Odom last year.
Yeah, that worked out
So maybe
great.
they're looking to do that.
My daughter, who had a soccer tournament all weekend, when I found out that we were playing at 1:15 West Coast time during the Pats-Broncos game. Now,
Oh, really?
What would you have done?
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
so you find out Saturday that there's a game Sunday, and wow, what a conflict, Billy.
So I knew she had 2 games on Saturday, and I knew if they advanced to the finals, that was Sunday. So I was emotionally prepared for that.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know about the consolation game that I had thought was in the morning that was scheduled for 1:15.
Right.
And you don't have daughters.
No.
I'm not going to say you lucked out because there's a lot of great things about having a daughter.
Name one.
One of the things that's not great is how personally they take stuff.
Oh, boy.
And if I didn't go to her soccer game when I could have, if I watched football over her soccer game, I really feel like long term it would have been bad for me.
Yeah. I think you have to remove yourself from it. And I know this sounds terrible. Maybe it's just fresh in my mind because I saw the 30 for 30, but I think you need to pull a Shane Stant on your own daughter, Jeff Galooly, and someone comes in with the nightstick. And it hits a light tap on the knee. It just makes her sit the next game.
Well, what's funny is she got kicked in the second game on Saturday.
Yeah.
And on the knee, and it was actually a big dramatic breakthrough for her because normally it's weird. She's super tough, but yet when she gets injured, the wheels come off.
Right.
So she got kicked. She was having a great weekend. She was really played great. I was proud of her. And then all of a sudden she got kicked in the knee. She starts hobbling around. I'm like, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah.
You know, the Vince Carter treatment is on.
Yeah.
But gutted through it.
Nice.
And in the back of my head, I was like, maybe it'll be like a deep knee bruise, and she'll have to be scratched tomorrow.
Right. Oh,
but
man.
no, she's fired up. Really wanted to play. So we drive to the game.
You don't even have to tell me they lost in the finals, right? I don't know. I don't know.
They lost the second game, so it was a consolation game at 1:15.
Oh, consolation game.
So then she's like, "You don't have to come. I know you want to watch the Patriots," but deep down, I knew she was silently judging whatever decision I was going to make, because she's just old enough to be smart enough to really hold stuff against me. So it was in Thousand Oaks. It was like an hour-long drive, and I was like, no, I'm going to your game. And the real reason I went to her game was I thought the karma of not going to her game would have single-handedly killed the Patriots.
Wow.
But anything I did was going to kill the Patriots.
Yeah.
So we drive to the game on the radio. We're listening to on the radio. You've listened to football on the radio sometimes, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like the guy is never totally on point for what's happening, and you can hear the crowd in the background before it's happening.
Right,
so
yeah.
It was, like Brady overthrows Edelman, and I end up watching it, late night, but Brady overthrows Edelman on that long pass down the middle.
Yeah.
And, he was like, and Edelman doesn't get it. And then like 2 minutes later, they went to the sideline guy, and he's like, boy, that was a big play. Edelman was 5 yards behind the defensive back, and Brady just overthrew it. It was the thin air.
Right.
And I was like, oh, really? And right then I knew we were going to lose. We get to the game. I have the iPad out. I'm hooked up to a Sling Blade. And it's like
Sling
13.
Box, I think it is.
Sling Box, sorry. Sling Blade. I feel like Sling Blade. 13-3 at halftime. The game starts.
Right.
Now I'm watching the game. They're down 2-0 at halftime. Check back the iPad. It's now 20-3.
And you can't even bet on this kid's soccer games, right? Like,
no, I can't bet on this.
Under in the second half with your daughter's scoring.
She comes back. She scores. It's 2-1. We're coming back. The wheels come off. We give up the next 3 goals. Get in the car. The Pats are done. And that was my Sunday.
That's awful.
Yeah. And my big regret is just not betting on Denver.
Right.
Because there was no way the Pats are going to win with this whole sequence of events. And the lesson for everybody out there that's listening, all the young listeners, don't have kids.
Right.
That's I think what the big takeaway.
Oh, absolutely.
Cousin Sal, it's Sports Sky. Bill Simmons here. I could barely hear myself talk. Just left CenturyLink Field. That's the most extraordinarily loud stadium since Saving Private Ryan and the fish that saved Pittsburgh combined. Just sitting here at the end of the tunnel waiting for my boyfriend, Russell Hustle and Bustle Man Muscle Wilson. He did it. He carried that Seahawks team to the Super Bowl on his back. And to reward him, I'm going to let him jump on mine. But before that, I'm going to nibble on his ears a little. And then I'm going to make my way down, caress his brown belly with... Wait, there's Russell Hustle and Bustle Wilson right now. What's he doing? He's playing grab ass with Michael Crabtree. Let me tell you something, Crabtree. I'm the best sports writer / movie reviewer in the game. When you try me with a starter receiver like you, that's the result you're going to get. Don't you even talk about me. Don't open your mouth about the best. I'm going to shut it for you real quick. And then after I'm done shutting it, I'm going to open it back up and shove a gluten-free pumpernickel bagel down your throat. Sports Guy, over and out. LOB.
At one point, the guy yelled about a foul, and my daughter turned and stink-eyed him. And I've never been prouder in 9 years. It was her greatest moment. Just totally stink-eyed and stared him down, and then went back to playing. So then my wife got riled up, and you know how they get.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad. So it ended with, I left in one car. I thought she was leaving, but she circled back and then lectured him about behavior and told him to watch Peter Berg's State of Play documentary.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
And
She's a parental activist. Nobody videotaped this, but the other beauty was when she told last season, she told a 70-year-old woman, I've never punched an old lady before, but it's not too late to start.
They serving skinny margaritas at these soccer games? She's on fire. That's great.
All right, let's talk about the props. What do you like?
All right, first of all, you are a total if you take tails. No, that's
You're 9-1 right now in the playoffs against the spread.
I might have lost one other, but
You're either 8-2 or 9-1.
yes.
And you were 35 games over 500 during the season.
It was a good run.
So what were you doing? What were your secrets?
Honestly, the thing that changed my approach for all of this was
Masturbation? I guess we could have won if we outscored them, but we had like Austin Collie and
Danny
Amendola on a torn groin.
Patriots reached their logical conclusion for the season. That was the right ending for the kind of season that they
An AFC
had.
title poop sandwich?
AFC title, that was their ceiling. They hit their ceiling. That's all.
A poop in the AFC title game? That was the ceiling?
You
it had to be a poop?
Everything.
Couldn't it
Why
just
would it
been
be
a pee?
poop? No, it was definitely a poop.
Yeah.
It was a poop season.
What would you have done if you were me with the daughter's 8-year-old soccer game at the exact same time?
Go
I feel like any way I played it was wrong.
Go to the soccer game. You got to
have to,
soccer
right?
game. It's not even close. Yeah.
I feel like she would have resented me.
You would have ruined her game by going.
And the Patriots.
Yeah, the double ruin if you don't go to her game.
I'm starting to think maybe I don't have control over the Patriots games.
Is this a developing theory, or
maybe I don't have the control I thought over my
Wait
teams.
a minute.
Yeah.
Come on.
Maybe I don't. I'm the same guy that wore a T-shirt with bird poop on it during the entire 2003 Red Sox playoffs.
The Red Sox needed it.
And this year, first down in the 25, you had 2 timeouts.
Pretty good position.
You ran a fade pattern against Sherman? That was a mistake.
I don't know.
3 gut-wrenching losses in a row.
Yeah. I don't second guess the play call. He underthrew the ball. You can't miss by underthrowing.
And 2 timeouts.
He admitted it.
Yeah, but he had just thrown an interception and a fumble. I'm going to have to ask him.
Yeah.
If they had to do that over again, would you have played that sequence differently?
What's funny is having this conversation with my Washington football team as the prism for this. I look at a team like San Francisco with those 3 crushing losses, and I say,
jealously?
Holy shit, is that awesome. I really
wish I could be crushed emotionally 3 times.
Yes. NFC Championship, Super Bowl, NFC Championship. I'm in. Sign me up for that. That's a great run.
I went back and looked through all the teams that have made the conference title 3 years in a row, which is not a long list.
Right.
And none of them got bounced in the Final Four, either in the AFC, NFC title game or the Super Bowl. None of them got bounced like in the last 2 minutes in every game. It just never happened.
That's pretty interesting.
And they were probably the best team of this decade. They're not going to win a Super Bowl.
San Francisco?
Yeah.
The best team of this decade?
Decade's only 4 years old.
Yeah, okay. Right. Nobody's had that
The 3 Final
run,
Fours.
That sustained run. You're right.
Pats made Super Bowl and 2 AFC title games?
2 AFC title
I guess maybe the Pats are in the discussion. I just always felt like San Francisco's ceiling was higher than the Pats these last 3 years. Always felt like they had one of the 2 best teams. God, Houston's down to 25-1.
Who would you say is the 4th team? Clippers?
Honestly, I don't know why I said honestly there. That's a reality show pet peeve of mine.
Oh, yeah.
In the reality show, they do a lot of honestlys. Honestly? It's like they're never being honest, so they have to reiterate how honest they're being. I would take Golden State.
What?
For the odds, 20-1.
For the odds.
20-1 odds.
It's
the best bet on the board.
I don't like it.
There's a 20-1 chance they win the title.
There's a 100% chance you lose that money. I think that situation is a funny one because they have the wrong coach in Detroit. I mean, I don't think that they entered this season with the right coach for this group of players.
Mo Cheeks?
Yeah. I got a kind of
Do you think they made him
Mo Cheeks as the head coach.
Do you think they made a problem or they made a mistake not making Dick Harder his lead assistant? They could have Dick Harder and Mo Cheeks.
You need to save these for when you're on television.
What? I can't say that on television.
What do you mean?
Mo Cheeks and Dick Harder.
That's an all-time combo.
On the line for the final time this NFL season, Cousin Sal. We watched the Super Bowl together yesterday. Somehow it was the first football game we watched together all year.
Yeah, weird.
We loaded up on the Seahawks. We did everything short of betting the Seahawks plus 20 or to win by 22 or more, which is 15-1 odds, which I feel like we would have done had we talked it out. But all in all, kind of a magical gambling day for us, and it washed away some of the stink for me this season, Sal.
I agree. It was nice, and I don't know if it's a combination of me being depressed that the season is over or just being greedy in general, but I felt like we left a lot of money on the table yesterday. We loved Seattle.
Yeah.
We compared it to the Tampa Oakland game about 12 years ago when we couldn't understand why Oakland was a favorite. And, the same case here. Seattle's an underdog, and we like the money line. We like it big. And we won a little, but could always be more. But I mean, what more can you ever ask for? I don't even know why I'm depressed. You have Peyton Manning with the Manning face. You see it all game long.
3 hours of it.
3 hours of it. You have Floyd Mayweather lost $10.4 million betting the Broncos. And
is that official?
I think so. I've read enough about. You know what? I don't care. I read it once, and it's in my head, so it's good enough. And thirdly, Richard Sherman ended up on crutches, so really perfect.
I feel like I did my part. I put the Billy Zima stink on Denver on Friday, which I couldn't have been happier to do. Really, everything fell into place. The one thing I was surprised by was just how bad Denver looked from the first snap.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought Seattle might wear him down. I thought for sure Denver would have some trick plays. They've been studying the Seattle team for 2 weeks. And just from the first play, I went back after we watched the game together. I went back last night, and I watched the first half again pretty closely.
Yeah.
Seattle was rushing like 3 and 4 guys and getting crazy, crazy pressure.
Yep.
And everybody was saying all week, if they get pressure with those 4 guys, they're going to win the game. They didn't just get pressure. They were in Manning's mug. When we were watching the game live, I felt like they had 6, 7 guys coming at them, and they really didn't. And it was just like they just couldn't have played it better. They looked faster. They looked stronger. The only thing I disagree with the stuff that I heard last night and read today was that Seattle was clearly the best team, blah, blah, blah. San Francisco was right there. And the difference between those two teams, I feel like, was a couple plays, couple breaks. I still feel like if Seattle went into San Francisco for the NFC title game, I'm not sure they win.
Right.
Seattle was the best team, but San Francisco was pretty close. And that's, I think, the legacy of this season. Those two teams were better than everybody else.
And I think San Francisco would have handled Denver
yes,
in a similar fashion, maybe not by 35, but whatever it was. But yeah, man, that first of all, Seattle wins the toss. They defer. Denver takes the ball, which is a little strange, but okay, whatever. They're going to take the ball. They're Denver. Terrible play call to snap the ball over the quarterback's head. No, but I don't. I mean, it's been beat ad nauseum by Trent Dilfer and everyone, but you got to know your first play, and if it is that loud, maybe make an adjustment like early. You should know. Like, did Seattle really bring all their fans over to New Jersey? Was it that impossible to hear?
It couldn't have been that loud. I think he just saw something he didn't like. I mean, I'll even go a play earlier. They get a kickoff. The guy returns it 8 yards out of the end zone, gets tackled at the 13.
Yeah.
And Seattle's like, I watched that again last night. The Seattle guys are just like it's almost like they'd all been electrocuted. They were flying down the field.
And give them all a chance to swarm there. Yep.
So it goes from there. They're on the 13. Safety. Now Denver has the ball. They get that awesome Harvin run, sets up the field goal. Next drive, Denver has the ball, second down. Cam Chancellor nails Thomas on at the tight end on that play across the middle. It's like, oh, okay.
I want you to get this right. It'll be the first time you got it right all year. Is it Julius?
Julius.
All right, you got it.
Julius Thomas, a college roommate of Reggie Cobb.
Nice.
3rd and 5, 3-man Seattle rush. Manning has the happy feet, incomplete.
Yep.
Then Seattle gets the ball back. They throw the Baldwin pass, 37 yards. Touchdown pass gets tipped. They end up for a field goal, 8-0. So now 3rd and 7, Denver has the ball. That's when Seattle blitzed. That led to the terrible Manning pick, which was just atrocious.
Is that when you thought it was over? Because I thought it was over earlier.
No. I was still kind of waiting for the Denver run.
Yeah.
But then here was the play I forgot, and this was a big one. So I think at this point it's 15-0. Manning missed Thomas on that deep pass.
Yeah, that's right.
And watching that live, I thought he wasn't open. But then watching it last night, the replay, like he had beaten those two guys down the field, and Manning had just put it downfield to the left. He runs and gets it touchdown, but it was a duck.
I mean, there's a lot of turning points. I thought up 5-0, 3rd and 8, Russell hustle and bustle, scrambling left.
Yeah, made a great
completes
play.
the Golden Tate. I mean,
Yeah.
they're at their own 31, I think there. They have to punt there. Denver might get decent field position. Certainly not field position that a snap would cause them a safety. And maybe, maybe they drive, make it 5-3 or 7-5 or something. It could have been a little different there, but
then the other thing,
I thought it was over.
The pick six happened that made it 22-0. That was a 4-man rush by Seattle, and they totally collapsed the pocket. And then I was looking, so it's 22-0. You could argue Denver scores there. It's 22-7 going into halftime. That's doable.
Yep.
3rd and 4 false start leads to 3rd and 9, pass over the middle, 4th and 2. Awful play, nearly gets picked. And that was the game. I mean, that's really when it was over.
What happened on that 4th and 2? That was a horrible throw. That was
horrible throw.
All the neck surgeries were counteracted, and what was it? It wasn't tipped or anything, was it?
No. It was he tried to throw to a guy that was covered by 2 guys and nearly threw it to Seattle. It was, that's a play though. It's 22-0. You have to score on that drive. That's where you run your single best play.
Especially when I have there will be a score in the final 2 minutes of the first half on a parlay somewhere. Especially then.
When I saw Breeze, when we did like a 20-minute podcast with him from the Bud Light Hotel. By the way, if you missed the Bud Light Hotel podcast last week, we had Colin Kaepernick, Drew Brees, Aaron Andrews, Joel McHale, and my buddy House. We did, I think, 3 different podcasts. I asked Breeze about that cover 3 that Seattle does, and my theory that I thought Seattle was just going to let the receivers catch the ball in front of them and just beat the living hell out of them and try to make Manning throw over the top. And he was kind of like, he kind of enjoyed that. It got nerdy for a second. And he was trying to be diplomatic, but I could tell from his answer, he really did seem to feel like that was what they were going to do. And he didn't want to say it, but I could just read it in his eyes because I'm the body language doctor, Sal.
Yeah.
I could read it in his eyes. And I got the sense from him that he didn't think Manning would be able to throw over the top.
Yeah.
And he didn't. The only person who's been able to go over the top is Sly Stallone.
You made him a Super Bowl champ. In fact, you called me after the game. It was one of the weirder calls I got from you.
Yeah, because I was staring at you and not talking as I was calling you.
Right. Yeah, because we were there together. But
telepathically, I called you.
Well, let me see. Let's see how this went. Hold on. I have it recorded.
Cousin Sal, sports guy Simmons here. I am smashed, blotto, polluted, hammered. 7 sheets to the wind thanks to a concoction of snake whiskey and orange Gatorade. And why not? I deserve it. This has been the most extraordinary evening since saving Buddy Ryan. My stud muffin boyfriend Russell Hustle and Bustle Man Muscle Wilson led the Seattle Seahawks to a flawless performance. Now that the game is over, Russ has got a Super Bowl bonus, and I won the Super Bowl Squares pool at Kimmel's, and Man Muscle and I took our winnings, and here we are on the Bud Light podcast shipped to Monaco to make an offshore deposit. We're fully stocked with Quaaludes and gluten-free pumpernickel bagels. Of course, we're going to keep some of that money. Hustle and Bustle wants me to buy a big, girly fur coat, just like Joe Namath wore during the coin flip. I'm going to put it on. Then we're going to reenact that John Stamos yoga commercial with creamy milk thickness on the tip of my lips, sensual puckering up. And wait, what's this? It's a giant wave. It's going to take us out. Just like in Wolf of Wall Street. We're doomed. Settle in. We're about to party with God. I love you, Hustle and Bustle. Sports guy, over and out. Stephen Oshka.
Wow.
Welcome to the third Birdmester. I'm Bill Simmons. That's Jalen Rose. Every 33 days throughout the NBA season, give or take a couple days, MVP through 3 Birdmesters.
Iceberg Slim, shooting trays from the suburbs.
You mean the Slim Reaper?
That name is terrible.
Everyone calls him the Slim Reaper. You lost.
No.
You lost.
My name is 2OG.
No. You can rationalize how you want. You lost. You're Slim Reaper.
Yeah, it's Kevin Durant.
A little tired after All-Star Weekend, but hanging in there.
You were my assistant coach. It was we're 1-0. We're 0-1. We had it. We missed 6 free throws down the stretch. What would you have done differently if we could do that game over again?
Well, first of all, during the entire rest of All-Star Weekend, everybody I saw gave me crap about our coaching failure, said that we're on the hot seat, that we've been exposed. Everywhere I went, I couldn't get past it. I don't know. I think we had I think we had some internal chemistry issues that maybe the public doesn't want to know about or doesn't know about, but would have liked to have seen more time with Catchings and Delle Donne on the court together. Would have liked to see Michael B. Jordan have a little bit more of a number one option role for the full game. But look, these are lessons we take going forward.
Yeah, I guess my number one lesson is don't turn the offense over to Kevin Hart. Would be my first takeaway. I think I have a feeling Michael B. Jordan might be really, really good at basketball, and we never really found out in that game, unfortunately for us. But we were right there. We missed 6 free throws. I like that. The feedback we got about your performance is that you looked like an assistant coach on the bench. Like even the way you were talking to the players and sitting in the chair and interacting, like people really thought, like, who was it? I think Chris Ryan said that it looked like you had absorbed all the games you had watched of assistant coach behavior, and it just somehow manifested itself into your performance. I don't know if you agree.
That could definitely be the case. I think that most assistant coaches are sort of pessimistic, cranky individuals by nature, and I certainly am both of those things. So it's the combination of that and me just absorbing lots of hours of watching assistant coaches look very sad when their players take bad shots or do stupid things. Probably went into that. I was also told I was way too aggressive with the gum chewing, and that I normally actually don't chew gum, but I was a little bit nervous, so I wanted something to sort of, like baseball players chew tobacco and stuff like that. I wanted something to occupy myself. So that's something I had to check. But yeah, Kevin Hart, look, you know what you're getting into with Kevin Hart. And I think there were some chemistry issues on our team. I think there were some other players that were fairly vocal about perhaps wanting the basketball in their hands a little bit more. But look, that's Kevin Hart. That's his game. Is he the Monte Ellis of the celebrity league? I don't know, but it comes with the territory.
Advanced metrics are not his friend.
Kyle Lowry, if I could use a curse word, Kyle Lowry's assholeness is a unique brand of assholeness because he's extremely competitive and wants to win so badly. And that's sort of the good side of it. But he's also just a prickly, nasty guy that coaches don't like. And I don't know where that sort of personality falls in Orlando's devotion to just getting all good character guys across the board. But it would surprise me if they chased him.
See, I would trade for him or sign him because I think he's one of those guys that just needs to play 38 to 40 minutes. And when he's not, that's when he becomes prickly and nasty. I think if he's getting the minutes, he's fine. Just, you have to have him out there. He doesn't want to sit on the bench. He doesn't want to back people up. He doesn't want to split time. That's when you have problems. But if you know you're playing him and you're giving the lion's share of the minutes, I think it's okay.
So he's like a couple of guys we had on our celebrity team then. You got to play. He wants to be on the floor.
He's like Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, Snoop did not. That was one of the chemistry issues. Snoop did not. I think it's fair to say Snoop did not take it well when we tried to give him a blow in the first quarter.
No, he didn't want any blows. He wanted to play. I actually liked him. I liked his game. Thought it was effective. There was a little J.J. Hickson-ish.
He was good. He made a big free for us down the stretch. He likes the Showtime high dribble at half court, which. Yeah, when you're surrounded by like a Skylar Diggins is just, she's going to steal that. He also did not appreciate some of Mike Golick's missed layups. Snoop was on the bench for some of those, and he was pretty vocal about the fact that if he were in the game, he would finish those plays.
Yeah. Bill and Jalen's playoff preview. We like to ask complicated questions, so here's a good one. Phoenix? Phoenix! 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 The most famous person, is he the most famous person in history of Toronto?
Well, he's representing the T-Dot to the fullest. They put some players out here recently that have been productive in college and getting towards the pros.
Yeah.
You got Wiggins, Anthony Bennett was the #1 pick, Nick Stauskas, Tyler Ennis at Syracuse. So.
Did you mention Wiggins? You did, right?
I did.
Anthony Bennett?
I did.
Did I just black out for 5 seconds? Anyway, we're going to run this clip of us and Drake. You talk about the greatest moments in Toronto basketball history. Mm-hmm. The most famous one is probably Vince missing that shot against Iverson in Game 7, and then Kobe scoring 81.
Yeah. Oh,
that did happen.
You were on the court that day.
That did happen.
Oh, I
But
forgot.
you know what?
I see
Too
what
soon.
was happening.
Hey, but you know what?
Seriously, those are probably the two most famous Toronto moments,
Well,
right? Is there another one?
Well, Vince winning the slam dunk competition was a big one for us, I would say.
And he pointed out the dumbest narrative of the last 5 years was this whole thing about, oh, look at what Dwayne Wade sacrificed. What did Dwayne Wade sacrifice? You know, it's like Dwayne Wade's the luckiest guy in the planet. They brought the best player in the league to play with him. He won 2 more titles. He gets to play whenever he wants. I'd like to be able to be like, hey, guys, no columns for me in the next couple of weeks. I'm tired. My knees, I need to regroup a little bit.
LeBron James did further it for Dwayne Wade. Yes, they're the same age. They came out in the same draft. But Wade has more mileage clearly on his body.
Well, but here's the thing. So Wade, that first year, I thought they were equal. Wade was great in 2011. The combo. They didn't win the title, but I thought Wade, those guys, it was really hard to tell game to game who was better.
And big shout to Dirk. He went through some players that year.
Well, true. Dirk didn't even play the second All-Star. They win the title. But I think these last 3 years, as Wade's broken down, now imagine if they don't get LeBron. Wade is now just this guy who's like, hey, remember when Dwayne Wade won the 2006 title? Boy, he had a great career, but now he's on the downside. Now he gets to drift on LeBron's car fumes.
He played 50 games. He's still getting top dollar, and he's still playing with the best player in the world. He's still in Miami under Pat Riley. Why would he leave that?
Special bonus question. Is Dwayne Wade a keep getting them checks guy?
Not yet. Not yet.
Did he send his resume into the committee?
I love him, but the keep getting them checks guy this season, and I love him. He's a friend of our show. It's Steve Nash.
Yeah.
Okay, when you come back to get the assist record, have some cameras there to film you play against your brother Dirk, and all of a sudden y'all switching and guarding each other on the elbow for the cameras. You get the assist record in the second quarter and say you had a setback and you done for the season, and they owe you 9.7 next year. Yeah. That's keep getting them checks. We had adversity against the Celtics.
You had it 2 years in a row. 87, Bird steals the ball.
Bird steals the ball underneath the DJ.
88.
You know, I was still living in a house where you had a big TV that doesn't work, so it becomes furniture. So you put a smaller TV in a lamp on top of that TV. Back in the day, they were component sets.
Yeah.
And that TV ended up on the floor. On that Johnny Most moment.
Don't you think the voting these days in 2014, it's a little like the Oscars where there's so much material on who to vote for that anybody who doesn't really follow basketball is at least somewhat aware of who they should vote for, whereas 10 years ago, all bets were off, you know?
A little bit.
That's how you end up with Kobe and the all-defense team in 2011.
He might still make it this year. Who knows?
That would be phenomenal.
Bring in Mark.
Mark Jackson.
I want Mark. We want Mark. New Yorkers, if you took a poll of New Yorkers, we want Mark. Bring in Mark.
Really?
We want Mark. He's a New Yorker.
That's the buzz on the Knicks street?
It's not the buzz. It's done. We would if you I guarantee if you polled New Yorkers today, Mark Jackson, Phil Kerr, Steve Kerr, we want Mark 150%.
So Steve Kerr won 5 rings.
Cool.
Learned under the school of Greg Popovich, got his master's at Popovich University, got his PhD at Phil Jackson University.
As a coach?
No, but played under both of those guys. Ran a team.
That's
put a ton of thought into. Has appeared on this podcast, I would say 40 times. Is probably one of the smartest basketball guests we've had.
I agree.
Maybe number one.
I love Phil. I love Steve, but what's the problem? It's like I'm showing up at his house with roses. Here, Steve. I'm showing up at his house. We're gonna go to a drive-in movie. We make out. Here, Steve. You know, next time I bring you chocolates, we're gonna go out and get some ice cream. I take you out for a little sugarfish, some sushi. What's the fucking problem? Are you going to coach the damn team or not? What's the problem? You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, either you're in or you're not in. Like, you were under Phil Jackson, so now you're making Phil wait?
Your mentor.
Yo, either you're coaching, and if you want to, isn't he exploring his options with Golden State now?
I think he's just announcing games and taking his time.
Bullshit. He knows what he's doing. He's announced. Do you know something I don't know? He has
I don't know anything you don't know.
Okay, so listen, the way I see it is, we went for you.
I'm glad that this whole situation required lip balm for you. It's like you're so been out of shape.
No, because it's like I thought he was going to be hired a month ago. Like, what's the holdup? And if you're not going to do it, bring in Mark. This is why. Number one, Mark is a proven coach. And I'm just saying, if Steve comes, I'll be happy with it. But, like, enough is enough. Number one, Mark is a proven coach. Number two, I think he gets the best out of his players, which is number one importance. Number two.
I saw it. I went to Game 7, and I left that game thinking Mark Jackson should not be fired because I just watched those guys play as hard as they could, not only to win that game, but to save his job, I felt like.
But
and that's all you want as a coach.
From what? Because
they knew
the owner doesn't like him?
Right.
Because Jerry West, Mr. Personality himself, doesn't like him?
Right.
What the fuck is the fucking problem? I mean, Scalabrini, you look like Scalabrini. You're going to...
that's
that whole thing...
Soulmate.
He's my soulmate, and I like Scalabrini, but, like, I don't know what kind of political shit went on over there. Mark Jackson proved himself to be a really good coach. He got the best out of the players. He gives the best pep talks. His pep talks are fucking great, which means a lot. I coach my team, my little YMCA team. We're a travel team. We won the championship last year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. You know, pep talks, you have to get the best out of your players.
Right.
Okay? And I got, like, I'm just saying, I think that if Steve Kerr's on the fence, bye-bye. I know Mark might not know the triangle, but he could learn it. He has a basketball mind. I think that him and Phil would get along good. Am I crazy?
I thought Mark Jackson... that must have been a really messed up situation.
Really messed up.
Really messed up for them to say, oh, all our players want you to come back. We're still letting you go. Like Steph Curry, who's underpaid, who only makes $11 million a year when he should be making like 16. He's got 2 years left in his deal. Went out on a limb a little bit for Mark Jackson. Then they're like, hey, Steph, we know what we're doing. Just shut up and we'll send you your check.
Who are you going to get to replace him? They're in deep shit.
That team smells a little Stan Van Gundy-ish to me. Yeah.
Not going to be the same as Mark Jackson. I think that
I like what he said. I agree with you on his pep talks. I wrote a couple weeks ago that I think he studies all the sports movie speeches on YouTube, and he's watching like the Chef and Vision Quest and all these different things. He's like, oh, I'm going to pull something from the Chef
but
and
it
Vision
works
Quest.
though.
Works.
And I think it motivates the players, and I feel like he's invested emotionally. So I'm really disappointed.
I feel like he makes me do a bad job with how I'm running Grantland. Because I feel like I should just, meetings.
Yeah.
No, at meetings, I feel like I should just be like, I just want you guys to know, whatever happens this week with our content, I love you guys.
I love you guys.
I love you guys.
And
you
I'm
guys
running this place, and I'm making all my money for you guys.
Right.
Because Mark said that. He goes, no, but I love what he says. He says, I'm coaching for you guys. Like,
yeah.
I feel like the fact that he's still, the fact that he was a player, he still feels like he's still playing.
Right.
Not that he's, taking it too far, but I just think that it's a shock. And, I don't know. Do you know any inside scoop? What was the problem, or what are they saying? Jerry West, he kicked out of practices. Did you see Jerry West in my 30 for 30? He's the logo. He's iconic. He gave me great time for the thing.
I was surprised that you got an interview with him I
was surprised he didn't bite my fucking head off.
I know. He's not the friendliest guy.
But he gave a great interview, and he was totally honest. And some people were like, he was this, he was that. I was like, he just was really, he kept it real. Jerry West kept it real. And he was sort of comes off as the villain in the movie. But, listen, we were walking down the hallway, and I was just, chit-chatting. I was like, this was after Kobe had the Achilles, and he's like, how do you feel about Kobe? I'm not talking about Kobe. I was like, he's just fucking guy tore his Achilles. I'm just, checking in. He's a tough guy.
Well, and then you have the owner who bought the team who, the team starts turning around, and everybody says, oh, Mark Jackson. He's kind of like,
I'm the owner?
Yeah, I'm the owner.
Yeah, you're the owner.
This all is happening because I bought the team.
Great.
Why isn't anyone talking about me enough?
No one's talking about you. They're going to be talking about you now. What's his name?
Joe Lacob.
Joe Lacob.
More lip balm on the Joe Lacob subject. You got fired up again.
I'm getting dried up off that Joe Lacob. Anyway,
so you vote for Mark Jackson.
I vote for Mark Jackson because Steve Kerr is, he's kind of playing the field. I don't like it. Let me ask you, Bill.
Can I just say as a child of divorce, Phil Jackson, guy who's, I don't know, butted heads with every single person he's ever worked with who wasn't a player.
Like who? Jerry West?
Jerry Krause.
Yes.
The Buss family. Jimmy Buss. Kobe Bryant.
And?
Shaq.
None of these? Okay. Did he butt heads with Shaq?
Yes.
Did they win?
They don't, but I'm just saying, now you're putting with Mark Jackson, who's just coming out of this crazy Golden State situation where we don't even know what happened. But
we don't know what
fucked up that his team fought for him in a Game 7 and they fired him right afterwards.
Without Bogart. Bogart didn't even play.
And Bogut.
Right.
And Bogart.
Yeah.
Bogart didn't play either.
Bogut didn't play either.
Bogut and Bogart didn't play.
Listen, I think that butting heads is good. I think the fact that he's a winner. I have no. Listen, Phil has proven himself. I know that in 1974 when he was in Tunisia, he didn't win with some team. You're going to pull some shit out.
The CBA, he had a couple rough years with the Albany Patroons.
Listen, Phil knows what he's doing. If Phil says Steve Kerr, I say Steve Kerr. But if Steve Kerr is going to go around and be a little,
wishy-washy,
cock tease, little bit of a cock tease.
Oh,
little CT. You know what I mean? Like you know what you're doing, Steve. You're either coming or you're not coming. No pun intended with the cock tease.
Right.
Getting weird. But I'm just saying, if we don't get Steve Kerr and we don't get Mark Jackson,
then you're screwed.
Who do we get?
Then what you don't want is for him to put in like Kurt Rambis or like these Phil Jackson flunky dudes.
No.
I like Kurt Rambis, by the way. I just don't think he should be your coach.
I like Kurt Rambis. It's time to shave the head. And you know what, Kurt Rambis? We don't want you. We need a person. We need a guy with
Mark Jackson.
We want Mark Jackson. New York would be happy with Mark Jackson.
Not that this is the reason you would hire somebody, but who would get the biggest ovation of any coach you could introduce for game one of the 2014-15 season? It would be Mark Jackson, right?
Well, I mean, Phil would get the biggest. Well, Jackson. You know they're related. But
come on.
Mark Jackson.
Mark Jackson.
Rookie of the year.
Okay.
Number 13, St. John's. He's from, come on, man. He's from BK.
All right. So Michael Rappaport votes for Phil Jackson.
No, Mark Jackson.
Mark Jackson.
Mark Jackson.
I go for the Jackson combo, the Jackson 2.
Jackson, and look at all just the Jackson combo, the Jackson 2. Look at all the sports pages, like the back. We could just go crazy with the Jackson.
The speeches would be unbelievable between Phil and Mark. Mark's
Holy
like,
shit.
I'm out of speeches. Can you give one today? Sure, I'll give a speech.
Yeah.
I'll give the Zen Master speech.
Yeah, we'll do
Can you
some
give me
yoga?
some incense?
Oh, man.
Do the lights dim down, do you know? Yeah, he'll do the whole thing.
Trust me, New Yorkers want Mark Jackson. I guarantee you.
Last question, then we have to go.
What?
Carmelo Anthony, do you want him to stay or do you want him to go?
I want him to stay.
Okay.
He has to stay. $30 million, number one. There's no guarantees in Chicago. And you know what? If he leaves.
He's a coward?
If he leaves, he will get the same treatment LeBron got when he went back to Cleveland. And he would deserve it because you came here. We love you. I love you. We support you. You're an enormous talent. Yo,
we defend you. You forgot you defend him. Most think that fans defend Carmelo.
I have my ups and downs with Carmelo. He frustrates me at times. He's not perfect. He's not perfect. But if he leaves, so long. And it ain't going to be pretty when
you're
going
to pull a Bieber on him, too.
Yo, well, I wouldn't. But
you tell somebody to.
Anthony Mason, we bring him back. We listen. Carmelo needs to stay. He can't leave us empty-handed like that. It won't be a good look.
Now that Scalabrini out of the league, I think you should adopt Steven Adams as your new soulmate.
All right.
Because he kind of does some Rappaport stuff out there. So he's running out and accidentally elbows people in the head, but it's never his fault.
Yeah.
And just accidentally shoves people in the back. Kind of a little bit in your wheelhouse.
What's that guy's name on the Hornets? The guy who
McRoberts?
Yeah. I like that.
You like McRoberts?
See, I like that guy. I like that. Yeah. They're like, why did he give him an intentional foul? Because he's fucking supposed to. What else? Number one, he's got long hair because he's supposed to. And I guarantee you Jordan gave him like a little $50 bill afterwards. Like, good fucking job. Why did he give him an elbow in the throat? What the hell else is he going to do out there? And the next night he shoved him. That's good shit. I have a question.
Okay.
Wait.
We have to go soon, though.
I had a basketball question for you.
Oh, fuck. Who's going to win the title?
Well, is it going to be Miami again?
They're going to make the finals.
No shit.
Are you starting to believe in the Wizards?
Well, I picked them in 6 to win this series, so I'm
you're in.
I'm in. This round, I'm in. Last round, I was preemptively regretting not picking them. I just didn't. I had this thing with the Wizards all year where, and part of this was that Nene is always in and out of the lineup, so they never have continuity. And this playoffs has again been a reminder. If you have two big men that are good on both ends of the floor, you are a step ahead of half the league. And the Wizards are just a different team when they have those two, Nene and Gortat, healthy. They have their starting lineup on paper is really good, and they would have these stretches where they would just lose to crappy teams. Charlotte beat the crap out of them like 3 times down the stretch. The Bulls went in and embarrassed them, and you would say, "What? Like, when is this team going to figure it out?" And I just didn't know. I didn't have faith, even though I liked the matchup, that it would come this year. But Nene being healthy has obviously been huge. And look, I mean, I just think based on the last 3 months of basketball that they're better than Indiana. I don't, whatever has happened to Indiana, I think the Wizards are a better team and they're going to win this series. And everyone's jumping for joy about Roy Hibbert's game last night. And I was happy for him. I really was. But the Wizards had a John Wall three-pointer off an offensive rebound that was a terrible shot. And then two other wide open threes, one by Beal when Lance Stevenson got lost going under a pick, and one by Wall when there was some chaos in transition. It was literally wide open, great shots. They make one of those, they might win that game. I mean, Indiana, you got to give them credit for grinding, but that's not a win that I come out of, and maybe you're different than me, but I don't come out of that win thinking, even with Roy's amazing bounce back game, I don't come out of that win thinking, okay, that's a team now. Indiana's back. They've figured it out. They've hit their stride.
We are aligned. You've talked yourself into the Jacoby Ellsbury era.
Oh, yeah. Anybody that had like April 22nd as the day that I would fall in love with him, please collect your money. Because, I'm a big Ellsbury supporter. I've forgotten his whole Red Sox past now. Pretty incredible. I mean, he's knocking on the door of like Yastrzemski, I think, if he hasn't already passed him, to be like number 7. I think within this season, even if he has a bad season, he's going to be like have the 6th most hits of all time. Pretty incredible when you think about it.
Yeah, and in both cases, like incredible with Jeter with the amount of women he slept with, and incredible with Yaz with the amount of Marlboro Reds he put down during that time.
Exactly. See, there's a reason to like. There's why you should like baseball, kids. You could sleep with a lot of women and smoke a lot of cigarettes and still be at the pinnacle of your game.
When he came out and made that like fiery speech at the end of the season, that is not somebody who has a good vibe that would think LeBron would react well to that. And
right.
I've mentioned this before, I don't think LeBron left because of that speech or anything, and I don't think this was a big deal, but I just think it's a window into what he understands about LeBron. He just announced during that speech that LeBron was expecting a daughter, and LeBron had gone to lengths to keep that quiet. He did not want that out there. And several times he was asked in the media about it. He said, I'm not talking about that. And, anybody who spent any time around LeBron knew that he was keeping that quiet. I think there was some concern through the media that he may need to leave the team in the playoffs. The child is not, his wife is still pregnant. She's not due for a little while yet. But, it just that he would say that, sort of an indication that he didn't really know LeBron and know that he was keeping that a secret. I mean, it's not like relevant, but it was just a little window that if he had spent time around him and was really that close to him, he would know that he was keeping that private. So I really question how close they ever were. For every, and I am just as guilty as everybody. I like the story of how Riley, put the rings out on the desk in the, in the presentation. And, there's also a story about how Alonzo Mourning cried, talking about the support the team showed him when he had his kidney problems. Although I will point out that they let Alonzo walk in free agency.
I never weighed in on the whole Paul George thing, which was obviously, just awful. And for a million different reasons. But I was excited to watch him on Team USA. I felt like he was the only type of player that America has who does all the things that he does. I think they would have used him like they used Iguodala 4 years ago as this jack of all trades, guards 4 positions, could play. You can go small with him, you go big for him. I think like the full arsenal of Paul George stuff would have been unleashed. So from that standpoint, just the Team USA point, bummer. Losing one of the best 10 guys from the NBA, bummer. The injury was horrific, and I really am concerned that he's going to come back 100% from that because he's going to lose a year, and then you have that second year where you come back, who knows, mentally, like he trust in the leg, all that stuff. That's a bummer. And then it just kills the Pacers. Like just reading these stories about what do the Pacers do, how like the injury exception, like they're destroyed. I don't think they're a playoff team. You pull Paul and Lance off that team, that's 40 points a game. Those were their 2 ball handlers. Everything they did offensively went through those 2 guys, except for the David West ISOs. I don't see how they're a playoff team. What do you think?
Well, let me go over a couple of things. First off, Bill, you would have loved being in Vegas during the practices last week because at the end of every workout, Paul George, James Harden, and Kevin Durant would play like these one-on-one games. I guess you call it King of the Hill, where they,
right.
You got to stop the guy to get the ball. It was one of the most enjoyable things I've ever seen in 12 years covering the NBA. First off, James Harden was defending like a banshee.
Yeah.
All right, the Rocket fans would have been horrified because they wouldn't have believed this was in him. Secondly, Durant just absolutely could not be stopped, and these guys are working their tails off to try to stop Durant.
Yeah,
and it's just a guy in the absolute prime of his game, 22-footers, 15-foot hook shots, reverse. It was watching those guys compete on that level was one of the most enjoyable things I've really ever seen in a practice. And I made sure I would come back and watch it every day. And it was funny, like some of the Team USA select guys would like crowd around and watch. Like I remember Victor Oladipo was sitting there just watching. I think he was actually hoping to get invited into the game, and that invitation was not coming.
Sorry, Victor.
So I was just so much enjoying that, and Paul was competing so much. Paul looked really good. Paul just couldn't stop Durant. I mean, I had our ESPN film crew tape 10 minutes of it. I don't know if we'll ever use it, but it's just to have it documented. And then everything, you know how people say things flash before your eyes when there's a traumatic event? Unfortunately, I had a complete clear sight line of Paul's injury. I saw it.
No.
Most of the media didn't see it. I unfortunately saw it exactly happen. And it all flashed in front of my face in 2 seconds. I knew he'd broken his leg. I knew he was out for the year. I knew the Pacers were screwed. I knew that game wasn't going to continue. And later on, I was thinking, that's why the Cavs have to trade for Kevin Love. Because the Pacers window is now, it might be shut. And I have spent so much time with that team over the last 3 years, and I've spent a lot of time getting to know Paul. And, I still, on one hand, I understand why they didn't pay Lance. But on the other hand, it seemed like it got sort of weird at the end. They were like $300,000 apart per year.
Yeah.
And it was almost like Lance was saying, I'm gonna make my statement, and the Pacers like, well, we're gonna make our statement. And it was sort of like, now if Lance is still on that team, I feel like he could potentially grow into that role and potentially become an all-star, at least carry them a little bit for this next year.
And they would have rented Sean Marion for a year and tried to make a go of it.
Now without those two guys, their window, I just don't see it. Hibbert can be a free agent after the year. I know that he probably won't be, but you know how big men get paid. He might opt out. And David West, I think, has a player option. That team could break up before Paul George gets back.
And David West has, I was going to just say he has a lot of miles on him. I don't think
he's past his prime.
I'm looking him up right now. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much longer this will be year 12 for him. And I'm not sure how much longer you count on him.
One of the sleepers in the 2003 draft. You got to include him in that class when we talk about it. But
yeah,
and that's why I'm like, if you're the Cavs, it's a huge risk for Love, because if I'm Jeff Schwartz, his agent, under no circumstances am I picking up my option or am I signing an extension. It doesn't make any sense on any level. I don't care how in love you are playing with LeBron. So there's an inherent gamble that you're going to trade number one pick and potentially two other nice assets for Love on a rental. But if you're the Cavs, I get it. And this is the reason. Because you never know. You can't count on your window. You have to try to win it. And the Pacers, I actually think by about 1 a.m. after the surgery and talking with the Pacers people and some of Paul's people, there was an incredible relief after they got outside that surgery, because they went in there and they said, okay, he's going to be okay.
Yeah.
There's actually a real strong belief that he's going to come back 100%, but he's not going to come back 100% for a year. And I don't know if the Pacers' expiration date goes that long.
Yeah, I think 2014 is for the NBA the year of windows. And you look at like Oklahoma City. I don't think any team can assume that they're going to have a 6-year run or a 7-year run or whatever. You just don't know. Like Chicago thought that with Derrick Rose. The Celtics thought they were going to be in the finals for 5 straight years with KG. He goes down in 2009. They'd never win another title. Like, you just don't know. It's too easy for guys to get hurt. It's too easy for guys to get knocked out. It's too easy for guys to deteriorate. And in the NBA, you're as good as your top 3 guys. And if you lose one of them, the whole thing flips, which is why I hated the Harden trade when it happened, and I hate it even more now, especially after hearing that story about him versus Paul George versus Durant. You can't just assume you can roll it over year after year and always be competitive. And from Indiana's side, just letting that Lance thing get to where it got. And 5 years for 45 seems pretty fair for him. There had to have been more of a background with just I don't want to say animosity, but whatever the more benevolent word of animosity is. Something was going on there, because that seemed like that was like a staring contest about pride between the organization and Lance.
They wouldn't come off their number, and they were, and they were complaining about the luxury tax, which is a legitimate complaint. But then they kept signing other guys. Yeah, it's like, well, wait a minute. You keep signing other players who play Lance's position, and they had met with Rodney Stuckey before Lance even told them no. I mean, I got to tell you that Lance was the root of a lot of their issues last year.
No
Lance
question.
Lance is also 22, 23. He's an irreplaceable piece, and so I just felt like they had to re-sign him. Although I understood why they didn't, I just didn't understand the way they negotiated, and it's going to come back to hurt them. And they couldn't have foreseen. And by the way, Bill, here's the other thing. I mean, I realized that you can get hurt 1,000 different ways, but he got hurt because that stanchion was too close to the court.
Yeah.
There's no other way to say it. And I realize that UNLV's probably played 1,000 games on that basket and no one's ever done it. But the difference is Paul George is used to having more space.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, he was defending Harden on that play. That was the exact same scenario that they had in those practices for those last 3 days. Him going one-on-one with Harden. He was probably like, I'm going to get this guy. I'm going to block this shot.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons he went so hard and
but this
so far
is,
back.
I never saw the stanchion up close. You obviously know better than me, but this is a real problem with the NBA that they're not going to address until somebody gets hurt. But how close the photographers are to the court too. How many times have we almost thought somebody was going to break their neck flying into the photographers? And it's like, until it happens, they're not going to do anything. And with this stanchion, like, it's one of those things, it's a little close and you don't do anything. But my thing is, I really hope this doesn't lead to guys not playing international basketball and all that stuff, because I feel like that injury could have happened. These guys play basketball all the time. You're
right.
There's always a chance you can get injured. It doesn't matter if it was in an inter-squad scrimmage or if he was playing the one-on-one games with Harden and Durant. These guys play. This is what they do. They want to play basketball every week, and they go hard and they get competitive, and injuries can happen.
You're right. During the course of an NBA season, teams have practices at high schools and college gyms. I mean, where they play up against walls and stuff.
Weird shoot-arounds, yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, I have to say, otherwise I'll get an email from Tim Frank at the NBA. The NBA has actually moved the photographers back a couple of feet over the last 2 years. If you look at where they were in 2012 and 2014, they have made more space.
Still seems too close.
You're right. That said, the guys still keep going in there.
Especially in the finals. The guys are right on top of the court in the finals, and somebody's going to get hurt. But, I think this injury was such a fluke injury that I think to overreact and say these guys can't play international basketball anymore, to make that decision for them as a league, or all the rhetoric that came out over these next 3 days is, to me, makes no sense. I've been following basketball since the mid-'70s. That's when my dad started taking me. I can only remember one other time in an NBA game that somebody broke their leg like that, and it was a game I went to. I think I was 7. Charlie Scott, who was my first favorite Celtic, actually broke his leg during a game, a lot like the Paul George thing, and got carried off. And our seats were right where the players came in and out, got carried off right by us on like a stretcher, and he was right. It was basically the same injury. That was 40 years ago, or 39 years ago, or 37 years ago, or whatever. Other than that, I can't remember this ever happening. Can you?
Well, you remember you were there for London. I wasn't there in London, but you have talked about how much you enjoyed watching that basketball. And if you to take that away from guys, you're just not going to do it. I'll never forget. I covered the 2006 World Championships in Japan when Spain won. That was the year the U.S. lost to Greece, and Paul George broke his foot during the semifinals, I believe, which was a bad moment for the Grizzlies. And
wait,
so
who broke his foot?
Pau Gasol broke.
Oh, Pau Gasol, yeah,
yeah. And he's at the finals in a walking boot because he's just broken his leg. He's in Japan, and they beat Greece in the finals in the greatest moment in Spanish basketball history. And Gasol is running out on that without his crutches in that walking boot and jumping on the pile at the center of the court.
Kind of like during the home run, when there's a home run chase, you want to watch Mark McGuire's at bat to see if he's going to break Maris's record. So I like to put it on to Bogarts to watch him ground out to third for the third time in the game. And so I had a tweet last week because I always refer to him as Hall of Famer Xander Bogaerts because of the hype. So I said when Hall of Famer Xander Bogaerts and Hall of Famer Jackie Bradley Jr., when they meet at about 234 batting average, that's really going to be a special moment for me. And Bogaerts is doing his part because he's down to 238 now. He's flirted up to 243, but now he's back down to 238. But I gave way too much credit to Jackie Bradley Jr. because he might not see 234.
I don't think he's seen 234.
I think 234 is a distant dream for Jackie Bradley Jr.
Unless Pawtucket's involved, I think 234 ain't happening. 234 strikeouts might happen.
I'm going to give another plug now to ESPN. I saw yesterday that ESPN's TJ Quinn said that there's supposedly they're singing to authorities and there's a new biogenesis list and there's new names and there's going to be new suspensions. I'm not a religious person, but I contemplated getting out of my knees and praying that Ortiz is on that list.
Come on.
Oh, my God. If Ortiz is on that list, I swear to God, next to the adoption of my older daughter and the birth of my second daughter, I'm not sure I would have a happier day in my life than if Ortiz is on that list. It would be like Christmas and my birthday times 10,000. Honest to God, I think I would get the list tattooed on me if Ortiz's name was on it. I have no tattoos at the moment.
He's about to hit his 400th homer as a Red Sox player.
His 400th home run with an asterisk next to every one of them. Please.
You keep throwing the 2003.
Please, Santa, all I want for Christmas is Ortiz's name on the new biogenesis list. That's all I ask. I don't ask for a lot.
But I hope Jeter's on there. How about that?
Well,
I hope Jeter's. I hope the captain's on there.
I saw that TJ Quinn later in the day tweeted that when he said there was a new list, that 50% of the people tweeted at him, I hope Jeter's on there, and the other 50% said, I hope it's Ortiz. So tells you the state of things, which is always good to see.
Cousin Sal, Sports Guy here. Just want to check in, let you know I'm all right. And I left the draft early. I'm at a post-Emmy party hosted by my new bestie and favorite late-night talk show host ever, Seth Meyers. If only Seth could learn to play quarterback in the NFL, I'd kick Russell Hustle and bustle Man Muscle Wilson to the curb faster than you could say Benedict Cumberbatch. Anyway, I made a lot of mistakes tonight, spending $5 on Josh Gordon at our draft, mixing Skinny Girl and vodka with peach schnapps, and a few minutes ago, mistaking Peter Dinklage for a trash receptacle. I'm so ashamed right now, especially about the Josh Gordon thing. I swear on Jalen Christ, I had no idea he was about to be suspended. Why did no one report on this during the collectors convention? Such a dumb move. I feel like punishing myself by writing a 15,000-word piece on how Spurs coach Greg Popovich deals with constipation between quarters. I'll get to that first thing tomorrow. Gotta go. Weird Al is saving my place in line at the grilled cheese food truck. Sports Guy, over and out.
I also am not a fan of that Colts team.
No, I'm waiting for someone. They win that division by default, but
the running backs suck. I mean, if you're picking them to go deep in the playoffs, it is a bet on Andrew Luck and Andrew Luck only because there's not enough surrounding stuff. I don't like the way they manage their salary cap. The Trent Richardson trade was an atrocity. They have that weird Jim Irsay stuff going on. I think there's some red flags with that team.
But with that, we take you now to the comments of one Andrew the Giant Luck. Andrew, you have the difficult task of facing an angry Peyton Manning. You upset his Broncos last season. What are your chances to repeat in the Lumberjack match?
Well, you can never discount what Peyton Manning does. We've had some success in Denver, there's no doubt. But we're just going to go and play a great game. Peyton's a pleasure to watch. He's been an inspiration. And I'm going to do my best to play him.
I like it. And I didn't dig what Aaron Rodgers was doing. He lost his cool. He yells at the rookie center. Settle down. You sat out the first 3 years of your career, and this guy's making his debut under impossible conditions in Seattle, and you're screaming at him on national television. That's not he needs a discount double reality check, if you ask me.
Oh, God, the Jags suck.
Well, you know what? We take you now to the comments of one Andrew the Giant Luck, who this week has the enviable task of matching up against the S.D. Jones of the NFL, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Andrew, what do you have to say?
If we are favored by less than 6 points, I'm going to be insulted. I'm going to say Colts by 6.
We don't want to insult Andrew the Giant. Vegas has it at 6.5. I said 7.5, so you get that one.
Durant's 26, Westbrook is 25. Like this
I
is
really
the window.
hope Durant leaves. That's like
I do too.
I'm rooting for that so
I do
big.
too. I'm rooting
I said
for
that
it
like
too.
a long
Those
time
owners
ago
don't
because
deserve him.
They really don't.
Football rooting in Cleveland, there's nothing like that either. And like they're really interested in the team, and like almost all the fans were rooting for the home team. That was preposterous to me. It took a while to get used to, but it was a lot of fun.
And not a game you'll tell your grandkids about.
No, it wasn't a terrific game. What would you want to tell everyone your text that you sent me, like in the fourth quarter?
What was it? I don't even remember.
You said, I don't have a TV small enough for this game.
Yeah.
Let's ask you this. We take you, Andrew the Giant Luck. This Sunday, you have the enviable task of going against the Jacksonville Jaguars at home in the Jaffa Mosque in Altoona, Pennsylvania. Your thoughts?
We're still licking our wounds after last week. It was just an incredible, explosive performance by Tom Brady and the Patriots. We learned a lot from it, and we're going to go out this week and try to incorporate some of those lessons.
Speaking now to AFC South heavyweight champion Andrew the Giant Luck. Andrew has the inconsistent Washington Redskins defense this weekend at the Metropolis Skating Rink in Canton, Massachusetts. Andrew, your comments.
I'm excited because, once upon a time, people compared me and Robert Griffin III and debated who should go first, and I've destroyed him. There's shrapnel of him everywhere, and this is really my victory lap for that conversation. So I plan on 40 to 50 points this week. It's really hard to talk with a deep voice like this.
Big words from a big man. Thank you, Andrew the Giant Luck.
This will be my 13th Thanksgiving in LA somehow. And play through all the scenarios of getting up at 7, pretending to help my wife with Thanksgiving for 20 minutes before turning my back on her and dealing with her residual bitterness for that. But then also concentrating on the TV game while pretending to talk to the people who come over. But then I need to have the variable in my head of if Jay Cutler starts doing Jay Cutler things, am I going to be blindsided by that, or am I going to be emotionally ready for it?
The Ray Rice thing, like why? Who's going to take a chance on
nobody?
A troubled, and one could argue that he's troubled. 28-year-old with miles, and
No, nobody's signing him.
Under 3 yards a carry when all the went down.
All you need to know is that Indianapolis isn't going to sign him, and they have the worst running back situation of any playoff team by far, and it's not close, and they're not even considering it. Really, it doesn't sound like
they're interested, but they don't want anything to do with them. That's all I'm hearing about any of these teams.
So Sal, it turned out that an independent judge.
God, I don't want to be suspended again. Go ahead, keep going.
No. I'm just saying. So that was one part, and then the other part is we shouldn't talk about this because it's clear that
I apologize to the listener who just went through 4 minutes of bleeps. But
I don't think they have to bleep any of this.
No.
I just think it's unfortunate that let's go to the next game.
Doesn't DD Gregorius sound like the name of a stripper from the 60s, too?
I mean, it sounds like a lot of things, right? It sounds like a terrible Showtime drama.
Somebody said it sounds like an 80s hair metal band guitarist.
Of DJ Gregorius. He was on Def Leppard for a couple years for getting a fight with Joe Allen.
Exactly. I still stand by the 1960s stripper. I think DD Gregorius opened at Jack Ruby's Carousel Club in Dallas. 1962. She was a featured dancer.
She dated a mafioso boss. She's always been suspected.
Exactly. Right. Sam Giancana's side piece, D.D. Gregorius.
We'll take you now to the comments of Andrew the Giant Luck. Andrew, why even try this game? You have the division in hand, not catching Denver or New England. Any plan to lay down for the Cowboys this week at the Omni in Atlanta?
We're just not playing well right now. We're just not playing great football, and we need to have a good game. We need to build some momentum going into the playoffs, and I have a ton of respect for Tony Romo.
I hate that answer. You're right, too. If they had been hot, maybe they do lay down for this game.
We lived through an era where the experience of X-rated movies was like a guy bonding thing.
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, no, not a little bit. We met each other on a dorm floor at the College of the Holy Cross, where the RA showed Sunday night X-rated films after Mass.
Different times.
It was a different era, right?
Different times.
That happened. The guys on the floor all came together Sunday night after Mass. That's what it was called. And sat in the RA's suite.
Yeah.
And he put on the movies.
And one time he put on a movie that, and somebody walked by who maybe was the wrong person to walk by. And that person was forced to move off campus, the RA.
Yeah, that RA was not an RA for very long.
No, and the movie we were watching became the name of my newsletter that I did for the rest of the year.
That's true.
Holy Cross.
You're allowed to say it doesn't have a bad word in it.
The Velvet Edge.
It was the Velvet Edge.
That became our newsletter, the Velvet Edge. Yeah, porn's had a big impact.
But Andrew the Giant Luck, you care to comment on your manager, Bobby the Brain Heenan, benching you in the third quarter yesterday, now possibly playing very little in a meaningless game at the Thompson Bowling Arena in Tennessee versus the Titans? Your thoughts?
We're not playing well. I mean, it's no secret we are not playing well, and we would love to get some momentum getting into the playoffs. Why don't you, since I'm here, why don't you interview Macho Man Tommy Savage from the Texans?
Oh, Macho Man Tommy Savage, you have come up. You did not play this week, but certainly making some noise in Houston. Your thoughts?
I can't do a Randy Savage
I'm
impersonation.
sorry.
You might have to do that one.
For that.
No, can you do Macho Man Tommy Savage?
Oh, yeah! I look down all those receivers. I don't check down at all. I throw wherever I'm looking. A pick six, may it be. Oh, yeah. I don't know.
Case Keenum's looking at me. He's got jealous eyes.
Oh, yeah, Macho Man Tom Savage here weighing in on the MVP debate. Lots of people in their ivory towers thinking it should be my teammate J.J. Watt. Well, what about me, the Macho Man Tom Savage? Look at the stats, Mean Gene. 10 for 19, 127 yards, only one interception. I've been everywhere from soaring with the Eagles to slithering with the Snakes. Now bow down to